Welcome to Ear Biscuits, the podcast where two lifelong friends talk about life for a long time. I'm Rhett.
And I'm Link. My voice sounded shaky. This week at the round table of dim lighting, it's maybe my favorite episode of the year. It's an episode of reflection where we look back at our experiences over this year.
Pretty meta if you think that this is one of your greatest moments of the year, is this podcast.
Yeah.
Because this is all about the greatest moments in our lives.
Yeah.
Top 10. Did you do 10 again?
I did 10 again. My top 10 moments, which, you know, we always expand to kind of like experiences or happenings or occurrences of the year.
Did you have trouble narrowing it down to 10? Because that's also an indication of how good of a year you've had.
I feel like this year I
Oh, you had trouble making 10.
I didn't have trouble making 10, but I don't think I have as many honorable mentions.
Well,
it was a simpler year.
I deleted my honorable mentions. I don't know why I did that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna mention mine.
But I think when
They're honorably unmentioned.
When I went through my first batch of just sort of thoughtless thinking, which is what we almost called this podcast, I had 12. And so I was like, oh, that's a pretty good year. You can think of 12 things that you were happy about.
Well, the thing that I do
That's
is
one a month.
I write down everything that happened, and I don't put a filter on it. I probably have a list of like 40 or 50 things.
Everything that happened? What do you mean?
That was of note. Like anything that was a milestone or anything that happened or anything I did.
But you sit down and think about everything, or you're saying you go to some note that you've been taking notes on?
I usually look through my photos.
Yeah, I definitely do that.
And I look through my notes, and I look through my letters, my physical letter correspondence with my pen pals.
It's funny how
things that I've said.
Our photo albums have
pen pals.
become our journals. In some,
yeah.
If you don't journal, which I don't journal enough for it to be a reliable, indicator of all the things that I did. It was funny, I was listening to some psychologist on some podcast. You know how you get drawn into some podcast. And he was saying, you should only journal your negative experiences. And then he had some long reason for it.
That sounds
No, and
horrible.
it actually was, I'm not even going to go into it. It was kind of fascinating. I was like, well, that would be an interesting, maybe we'll do that next year. The top 10 worst things that happened this year.
The bottom 10.
Yeah. Well, let's wants to
go.
start?
Let's go.
Where you start? You get on long sleeves.
Oh, okay.
Gotta have a reason.
I'll start. Why you think your number one is going to be the
I
closer?
guarantee you that your number 10 is not my number 10, if that's what you're wondering.
Yeah, but if I go first, then that means your number one, unless things get out of order. But your number one is last, and I want to make sure that the very ending of this thing is the best of the best.
This is
between
why.
the two of us.
This is another reason why I wanted you to go first, because I am reasonably certain, if not completely certain, that my number one is on your list, but I don't know if it's your number one, which is interesting. But it is definitely my number one. So we're doing something different. We discussed this a second ago. We've been doing this wrong, that in the past, when we get to a moment that we both share, we let the guy who had it ranked higher talk about it then. But that steals the thunder of the guy who has it ranked higher, especially if it's his last thing, because then he's talking about his best thing before the end.
Right.
And so this is an effort to make sure that we both get to talk about our number one last.
Yes. I'll go first.
So I think we'll get there regardless of who starts.
Coming in at number 10 for me of the year is a milestone that will never happen again.
Turning 40.
It's one of those things that only happens once.
Colonoscopy.
The 2,500th episode of Good Mythical Morning. Quite a milestone. Wasn't on your list, was it?
No, it wasn't.
I realized, I was like, man, this is,
It's not that it doesn't mean a lot.
Right, it wasn't on my list, and then I'm like, well, that's a nice, round, celebratory number.
I'm waiting for 3,000 to be on my list.
I think 2,500 is a better number than 3,000.
I don't know, there's a 5 in it. I want more O's.
I like it. I like a good 5. 5 is my favorite number.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
5 is your favorite number. You got 5 fingers on each hand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You got a 5-inch pecker. Let's
so
see.
stupid,
Let's
man.
see what else.
Don't laugh
Let's
at that.
see what else.
Don't laugh at that.
I'm talking about when it's flaccid.
I mean,
man.
it was a joke.
Flaccid. I'm talking about flaccid.
Laugh at it.
I'm talking about flaccid,
it was
man.
just a joke, so you can laugh at it.
Flaccid. It's a compliment.
You know what's a
Jenna's like,
not a
Don't put a camera on me. Nobody.
okay, all right.
it was quite a milestone.
Yeah, it was. I regret not putting it on my list. No, I have a GM related thing.
The fact that we're still doing it. As we're
still doing it.
we sang the song, we wrote the song, we sang the song, we had a good time celebrating, and then we put it out into the world, and it was a sentimental episode, which reminds us of the special place that Good Mythical Morning holds in people's lives and their daily routines, and it's very relational, and there's a deep connection that goes beyond just, are these goofballs gonna make me laugh today or not? Or how many more times are they gonna eat?
Mm-hmm.
Once you really get involved in it, it's so friendly that it's almost familial.
Huh.
But sometimes friendship is better than family because it's by choice.
Wow.
I'll leave it at that.
I make that
but
choice every day.
I just wanted to acknowledge that we, after doing it for so many years, for so many episodes, it's it's still an important part of our lives.
Yeah, and I think that one of the reasons,
But only number 10.
Obviously the reason that we say, okay, there's a round number, let's celebrate it, is because when something, and this is probably why it's not on my list, because GMM is this fixture.
Right.
It doesn't feel like a moment, so it doesn't cross my mind in the same way. It's like a lane, a very important lane in my life that I'm kind of always in. Don't plan on getting out of it any particular, not soon. I'm not getting out of the lane soon. But it doesn't really register as a moment. But that's why we dressed up in orange suits and sang the song. I just forgot about it. But my number 10 is GMM related.
Oh, it is?
And I actually think this is probably not your top 10, but this is it. I think you enjoyed yourself as much as I've seen you enjoy yourself as when we watched my frickin' Real World audition tape on Good Mythical Morning.
That was that's your top moment.
Well, it doesn't have to be, this makes it on the list because of the significance of it. Did I enjoy it? No, it was horrible. It was torture. And I think I said it on the podcast, and maybe I said it on the show. I didn't know we were doing it as an episode. I knew that we were doing it on the Mythical Society.
Right.
Is it over?
And
No,
I
that's
remember
where
sitting
they
there
stopped.
watching it. First of all, I was like, not only was I was embarrassed by my old self for all the reasons that anyone is embarrassed by their old selves. You don't like the way you look or the way you sound. It's just cringy and embarrassing.
If that makes you feel better about it. Yeah.
But I was also like hesitant about the fact that I was such a different person, and I said some things that I was like, are people going to be mad at me for the things I used to think? You know how people are these days.
Yeah.
People get mad at you if you did something in the past, even if you changed. And so I was sort of like, there was a part of me that was like, I was on the verge of being like, I don't know if we should release that Real World thing on the Society. And then I turn around and I show up one day and they're like, we're doing it as an episode today. And somehow I usually know the things that we're going to do in general. But somehow, because it's funny because we were in the meeting the other day and Kevin was talking about how it was his idea he was like, he watched it and he was like, I think we've got enough here to make this into a GMM episode. That'll be perfect for bringing people over to the Society to see the whole thing.
Yeah. Thank God they didn't ask you.
And you know what? I'm glad they didn't ask me, because if they had asked me, I would have said no. And I'm actually glad that it got out there.
So is that what makes it number 10, is that it was a visceral experience, that it was unforgettable, or something more?
No, I think for me, the reason that it carries significance, not too much, just number 10, is I think when we shared our stories in 2020 and we were able to finally like peel back the history of who we used to be, and we had been concealing that very strategically for a really long time because it was difficult to explain and embarrassing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
There was this sense of like, when you take the part of you that you are like have the most shame about, and you bring it out into the open, into the public, and just talk about it. That for me, that was a really transformational thing that changed the way that I see the way that I talk on the internet about myself, right? But to not just hear me talk about it, but to see that guy,
Yeah. Okay.
is a different. It is a few levels up of exposure and vulnerability that I think.
Yeah.
At this point, nudes of me could leak, and it would be like, okay, whatever. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I've got any that could leak, but. At this point, I wouldn't care if they did, is ultimately what I'm saying.
If it's a nude and you are leaking, that's really bad.
Well, leaking what, though?
Exactly. Anything is going to be bad. I'm sorry I said that. Should I go to my number 9?
Please.
Okay, yeah, I'm like, where did I put it at number 9? Okay, this was the year that I got my
Braces off.
my tattoo,
Oh, yeah.
my plant quarter sleeve.
Yep.
Jade was at the end of last year, but both sessions of the plant were this year. But the moment is, it's a kind of a 2-for-1 here, because it's the fact that I got something that now is big and is on my body forever. But there was this, what we discussed about the picture going viral and like the whole Butch Twink thing, and what I said about it
Boink.
at the time. Yeah.
Link the boink.
I gotta be honest, I think that after the episode, I continued to, after recording the episode here where I talked about it, and I said the thing about like, I said something about, I don't sweat the stink, and
I follow instincts.
I follow my instincts.
And stink makes you smell.
This is who I am. But I don't
Something
sweat.
like
Honestly, on the
sweat makes you
I
stink,
think
and the only stink
there was more reflection
my instincts.
for me
Okay.
after that.
All right.
And I'll say that I had a difficult time after that. And I realized that what I said on this podcast about it was a little aspirational.
You want to be a twink. What? What do you mean?
Now, that I want to not care what people think about my tattoo.
Got it.
And I want to not care about labels that people put on me and say that I look like something that I'm not. And I put my best foot forward and say, you know what? I'm gonna assert that just yourself be as weird as you. I'm gonna go into that zone and say, I don't sweat labels, and I'm gonna say something that is, I don't know, that you can put on TikTok.
You were manifesting.
I was manifesting that a little more than I realized, honestly.
Emphasis on man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, Rhett.
Yeah. Every once in a while.
It's still a little hard for me to laugh about it, but I'm not gonna say that, I don't know. What I'm gonna say is, it's part of the story of my tattoo now, that the thing that I've had to learn is it really tested my resolve of, am I standing by the decision I made and who I am, and not some label or somebody saying something offhand that might get millions of views just because it's funny. There was a point where I engaged in my mind a little bit too much after the fact, and it shook me up a little bit, and it was a test of resolve, and do I really care too much? We don't experience a whole lot of being misunderstood. It does happen. I do feel like the internet is becoming more of a place where there's more and more pitfalls of feedback, you know? there's more and more opportunities to make a healthier decision for us to tune things out.
Yep.
To not take certain feedback into account. I think a lot of the internet, that's been something that, I mean, people may be thinking when I'm saying it's like, well, this is nothing new. You know, people have always been this way on the internet. But I feel like we are experiencing more of this because I chalk it up to a cultural shift.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think we're putting more of ourselves out there, and maybe that's part of it.
I mean, I've been talking to you about
cultural shift.
I've been talking to you about this for the past year or two, and I felt like every time I said it, you would say, I don't know what you're talking about. Because I would tell you about how, regardless of the source, I'm not gonna name sources in terms of like where the comments are because they happen to be everywhere.
It would stick in your crawl or get in your head.
Well, I've always been someone who is not, I don't spend a lot of time in the comments, but it doesn't take much time at all to find something that strikes a nerve, right?
Yeah.
You've heard every YouTuber in the world say you can see 100 positive comments and then that one is the one you remember. And I've always kind of just been like, I've got a thick skin and I know we're not for everybody, I'm not for everybody. But the thing that you're talking about, which is like being misunderstood or being misrepresented, being mischaracterized according to the way you feel about yourself, I feel like that's something that has increased in frequency that I've seen. And so I've been in a place where I was like, man, I've been doing this for 15 years and it feels like the frequency with which I'm thinking about this is increasing. So the frequency in which I'm looking at anything that's said about us is going down and down and down. I think it has increased.
And I think
and I do think it's cultural.
And I think the reason why this is a moment for me, or the second half of this moment is about this experience, is because, it was the first time that I feel like it got in my head, and then it started to spill into like what you're talking about, like people's criticism of me or assessment of me on Good Mythical Morning, and I think it started to have an impact on me. It started to have an impact on what I thought of the audience I was talking to, and I started to get angry, and I'm no longer talking about just the tattoo response, because then I started to pick up on more of these like critical comments about all types of stuff. Oh, picky eating, or personality, or what's the word? Attitude. Mm-hmm. And then it became this self-serving thing that's like, oh, people are criticizing my attitude and now it's giving me a bad attitude. Mm-hmm. Like, and it's impacting my performance. It's impacting my ability to be the best version of myself. And that made me more angry. And so it was like this negative spiral that I don't know if the tattoo thing started it, but it was a big part of it. And I feel like like you said, you were coming to these realizations or having these experiences at a different point, an earlier point, when I was like, oh yeah, I'm not fazed by it. And I wasn't. But then I had this point where it's like, damn, I'm getting really fazed by this. Mm-hmm. And I know this is not a good headspace for me to be in. And I'm like, okay, at this point I should give some sort of update that should be, and you know what? I got over it. Now I'm totally great. I don't think I can say that. It's not that I think that I've processed it in a way that now I'm still trying to figure out how to fully integrate this, what's the word? I mean, I'm fully integrate the conclusions I'm coming to into the practices, like the way that I read comments, the amount of power that I give. I think it's just having my guard up a little bit more and being a little bit more sensitive to how I process things and knowing when to step away. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I would have advised other people to do, but I had never experienced it in this way, and allowed it. kind of allow the negativity to get inside my head. I think it's the first time that really happened. Because you can release something that's outside of yourself. You know, maybe it's a cereal and people are gonna criticize it. And it's like, it is challenging to process, right? But it's different than putting yourself out there, and there's a line, right?
Yeah.
In the personal aspect of it. So I think this is the year that I was like, okay, this shook me up, and I think it's a good thing. I'm grateful for it. And I'm adding to my tattoo.
What are you gonna do?
Go down my arm.
With what? Surprise? A surprise?
More plants,
Oh, more plants.
specifically.
Which is what you were planning on doing.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah,
We go.
We got there's a whole podcast.
There's a whole podcast here.
In this,
But
I think when we do our this is a long teaser. Well, it's not that long because we usually talk about give our deconstruction updates in February. A lot of what you're talking about has been an element of what I would call roughly my spiritual attempt at spiritual growth. And this has been because of some of the things I've been reading have been directly informing the way that I've been processing some of these things, and
okay,
and so more to say at that point.
It's ultimately a positive milestone of personal growth for me, and I'll take it as a good teaser for what you're going to talk about next.
Yeah, and I will say that is the big thing, is that it is good. Like having,
I think it's good.
Having received it makes you a better person. It's ultimately what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I'm not mad. I'm not mad at anybody.
Number 9. My solo camping trip. I thought it might be higher than this.
Oh, okay. I know why it's not, because you already...
But if I'm ranking it in terms of, meaningfulness or enjoyment, I had the incident with the van sound, which when does this come out? What date does this thing launch?
It comes out on 12/18.
Okay, so by this point, when you're listening to this, I will have it's the last thing that I recorded when I went up for that trip, is me in the van.
Oh, yeah.
I still had never launched it because I kind of forgot about it until I went through this list. I've got one more video I can put out. But anyway, yes, it was still a really significant thing for me, that trip, and reminded me that I have to make time for myself and need to ideally do it every single year, but if not every single year, no more than every 2 years, have time where I'm going out and spending some time alone. So yeah, it was.
And you'll check that van beeper before you do next time.
Oh, well, I could have checked it before and it just started while I was out there.
That's true.
Yeah, so I think that the significance of it is I learned what I want to do differently next time, ultimately. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But still reinforcing the importance of doing it. You have a longing to do it again, right?
Oh yeah. I definitely want to do it again.
My number 8 is
what about your number 9? Oh, you already went.
Yeah. My number 8 is a solo experience of a different type. I've actually put what's happening? Oh,
this comes out on my wife's birthday.
And you knew that.
Yeah.
You knew that December 18th was.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Yeah, I did. I don't forget my wife's birthday. It's a week before Christmas.
What was I saying? My number 8 is a solo experience of another type.
Okay.
It is the Streamy Awards.
Yep.
Streamy Awards, you left me in a lurch.
Mm-hmm. I was hoping you'd put this on your list because I didn't.
You had COVID. COVID.
I did.
And
I was watching Citizen Kane while you were
Rhett McLaughlin, Was my because you weren't watching the streams.
No, I did.
And
I finished Citizen Kane right before this release.
I put this on the list, and I'm going to refer back to it with something else on the list. So there's, in my mind, it's related to something, but I'll just share the portion of it. Yeah, just the fact that something that we have always done together, I had to do by myself. I had to introduce an award, and then I had to accept Show of the Year. Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't get to do that. But I had to be ready to do that. Right. And so going up there and like doing a comedy bit in front of all of our peers and, all of the world watching, it was a higher pressure situation than I wanted to admit to myself. Like, it felt like, it's like, oh man, my approach is generally to it's very, I'm more seat of my pants kind of thing, and you're more like planning, and we make a good team when we go up there on stage and do something like that. And it was so last minute that I just felt like it was a test, and I didn't know how I would do. And I was relieved that I pulled it off, that I did great. That I did good.
It was very funny. It was maybe the funniest thing that happened that night.
And
which again,
funnier than if we were there together.
Not a high bar, but
maybe just as funny.
It was the funniest thing.
Just as funny as if we were both there. So it's I just think that it was a milestone moment for me where I had to deliver, and I couldn't. You just can't. We have the luxury at certain points. I mean, I feel this way. I hope you feel this way sometimes, where it's just like, hey, in certain situations when we are put on the spot as a duo, you can cut your eyes at the other guy and know that he's got it.
Yep.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, we're so good in that mode that we learn to depend on each other in certain ways, that like the two parts equal the whole. So it's not about ever doing that comedic, especially going out there on a stage and there's not even a podium in front of you. You're not hiding anything. So yeah, it was a big test and a big win. And it was kind of a first of its kind for me.
Well, maybe you have to get sick next year so I can see what it feels like.
See what it feels like.
Yeah, I thought it went well. And I mean, I could tell you were a little nervous because we talked beforehand. Oh, because we had an idea.
Yeah, we had
if we won Show of the Year, you were going to call me.
Right. I called you and I pitched what I was doing, and like you gave notes on it. Yeah. And then we talked about what we would do. So I was going to call you if we won.
Yeah.
We didn't win. You remember that we didn't win?
And I found out we didn't win when it, about before the announcement, like 7 minutes before Show of the Year was announced, I knew we hadn't won because of the way that it was announced, by getting letters from people. And I saw letters that weren't in Good Mythical Morning and knew someone else had won. Remember how it was done?
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't do that again.
Yeah. It's not a great way to do it.
Ear Biscuits is brought to you by BetterHelp.
There was a certain point with all the Neils giving gifts to each other that we decided, you know what? Let's just do it for the kids. All this nonsense trying to gift gifts to different adults is just too much.
You gave up.
We had to figure that out. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Well, whether or not you're in a gift-giving family, and apparently you aren't, you can define how
for the kids.
You give to yourself.
So whether it's by starting therapy, going easier on yourself during the tough moments, or treating yourself to a day of complete rest, remember to give yourself some love this holiday season.
We're huge advocates for therapy. We both have been doing it for quite some time, so if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try.
It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule.
Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge.
In the season of giving, give yourself what you need with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/ear today to get 10% off your first month.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ear.
Ear Biscuits is supported by Rosetta Stone.
Occasionally I find myself in a situation where I began speaking with someone, and I realized that they do not speak my language, and they begin speaking another language.
And you don't speak theirs.
And I would really love if I could continue that conversation.
In comes Rosetta Stone, the most trusted language learning program available on desktop or as an app that truly immerses you in the language you want to learn.
They've used trusted experts for 30 years with millions of users and 25 languages offered, including but not limited to Spanish, French, Italian, German, Korean, Japanese, and Polish.
Rosetta Stone immerses you in many ways for long-term retention. There are no English translations, so you really learn to speak, listen, and think in that language.
The best part is their built-in true accent feature that gives you feedback on your pronunciation so you sound good when you speak.
And it's an amazing value. A lifetime membership has all 25 languages for any and all trips or language needs in your life. It's a $399 program, but with our code, you can get it for just $199.
Don't put off learning that language. There's no better time than right now to get started. For a very limited time, you can get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off.
That's 50% off for unlimited access to 25 language courses for the rest of your life. Redeem your 50% off at rosettastone.com/ear today.
Number 8 for me was our college friends Colorado trip.
Go.
It's not on your list?
No, it might be my number one. Maybe it's on my list.
Well, if it's not on, if it's higher on your list, I can't talk about it now. We wait until it's.
Oh yeah, keep going.
Oh, snap!
Our boys are gonna hate us.
You know, us? You're on your own. This is like the Streamies, man. I'm not even a piece of cardboard.
It was the best trip, except that Tim was late and he screwed it up. And I think that's why it went off the list, because he had too much flight trouble. And
Wow, this is surprising to me.
I'm gonna be completely honest.
You forgot about it.
I feel like that we got feedback that we talk about our trips so much that I de-emphasized trips on my list this year.
Ooh.
Because it's a privilege to be able to go on on the trips that we go on, and like the excursions that we go on with friends and family and all types of stuff. And I kind of got self-conscious about it.
Okay. Well,
But yes,
I thought you
Tim,
weren't
Harm,
you weren't worrying about
Greg.
the comments though.
Hey,
If you're a man who
I
took
said
some trips, let it be. Hey, I'm a man who took some trips, and I got my instincts, and my stink don't smell, because I go to Colorado with my friends. Yeah, that's not how he said it, but
it was quite a moment, boys.
I guess I'll talk about it since it is on my list.
But you just didn't do it for me this year.
Well, you could say that it was great, and it would be on your list.
That was
if
a
you
joke.
weren't self-conscious
Yeah.
about
It was
seeming
great.
like a rich dude
Of
who
course.
goes on trips.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was great, and it would be on my list if I wasn't trying to do some like
Image management.
image management.
I'm beyond image management. No, I'm trying to be. But anyway, I had a good trip. I mean, it's only number 8. I mean, don't get too excited, guys.
Right.
This has become an annual tradition. We're gonna do it again in 2024.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that we do like this where
Still
it's
haven't nailed down the plans. But
boys who get together, college boys who get together.
it is very special.
And
I'm
I
fully
actually
committed
think
to
that
it.
that moment, if I am to pick a moment,
Pick a moment.
because I am trying to do that within the moment, the general moment being the trip, but the specific moment I actually think is while we were waiting for Tim. Because
Yeah, the phone call.
Yeah.
Where we like conferenced him in. That was the moment.
and
for the trip.
he was we talked about it before, but it was a way of including him when he was driving across the entire state of
Yeah.
Colorado, it seems like. And and also the fact that we didn't die in that river, that was pretty cool.
Right.
But I think that's become it's a really special time, and it really, it's what you might call a novel experience, right? By design, we are trying to have a novel experience when we hang out with those guys. It's not like, hey, just everybody come over to somebody's house. It's like, let's meet in a place and have an adventure, create a memory, do something that's somewhat dangerous in order to create a milestone that kind of makes it seem like your life isn't going by year after year, and the next thing you know, you're gonna be dead.
With no friends.
And I will say that the recent Bigfoot sighting was on the train that we were on.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was just a guy in a suit.
That's right as well.
But the recent Bigfoot sighting in Colorado on the Silverton mine train or Silverton, whatever, that train is the train that we took up to get into the water to come down.
And we didn't see the Bigfoot.
We saw no big feet.
I love you, boys. Should have been on the list. That's my bad. So I am at number 7. Number 7 for me is the experience of my father-in-law, Christy's dad's brush with death.
Yeah.
I actually unpacked this story completely, not on Ear Biscuits, but on my other podcast with my dad, Dispatches from Myrtle Beach. So if you want to hear me talk to my dad and like tell him the whole experience, it was very scary. You know, just in it in a nutshell here, Chrissy's dad was fishing and reached into a bait bucket and pulled out a minnow, and it was in the river water and like cut his arm and like it was bleeding, and he dressed it, and 2 days later it was like infected, and then he was in not only the emergency room but in the ICU for over a week. He ended up having a special bacteria called Vibrio that has like a 50% survival rate.
Yeah, not good.
And he survived. I mean, he's still dealing with the infection in his arm to a certain extent now. He's like going to a wound specialist and still trying to figure it out. But I mean, within a few hours of finding out that he was in the ICU, we were like booking a plane ticket. And when you're, the moment for me is the decision to start booking that plane home. Like at 3 a.m., we were booking a flight that we would be on a few hours from then. And when I told Christy, take your big suitcase and pack what you would wear at a funeral. You know, it's like, that's a moment that I'm just not gonna forget. And then when we show up and we're like taking turns spending the night in ICU with him so everybody else can go home and sleep and stuff like that. And he was always conscious. And he was always making positive progress. So it was like, the scenario was pretty encouraging, but still very scary and certainly still touch and go. But the feeling of when you live apart and you know, you've got family members, loved ones who are like going through stuff, and you have to make that decision of when do you go home and how quickly do you get there. You know, something clicked in my brain. I was like, you know what? I've got the means and the ability in terms of how we run the company and stuff like that to drop everything and be where I need to be. And you know, I know there's some people who don't have that luxury. And I was like, this needs to be a no-brainer. And when I got there and we were there caring for Christy's dad, there's just something about the feeling of knowing that you're doing the right thing and that you're putting your love into action. And I don't want to make this, it kind of feels weird to say this, that it's kind of like, I feel like I'm kind of making it about me, but there's a, I won't say it's a reward, but there's a satisfaction in knowing that you're doing the right thing for the people that you love. And sometimes it's hard to have clarity when an emergency hits to make a decision, to make the right decision. You know, I felt like we could have waited, well, you know, we'll see how he does, and then we'll go home. And for us, it was the right decision to like, we're gonna get on this next plane. Mm-hmm. And so logistically, everything worked out to be there. And it was, you know, when we went home for Thanksgiving, it's like, I mean, Christy's dad is a different person because of this near-death experience. You can tell by the look on his face.
Like personality-wise?
No, but positive in terms of his attitude. Like, I mean, he's got a new
lease on life.
He's got a new lease on life, and you can see the gratitude associated with that. And I could tell that it made a difference that we were there. And he let us know in a way that he doesn't normally talk to us about these things. It's like, to see that like he was impacted by the fact that we were all there for him was very powerful. And it's the type of thing that, like, you know, when I'm on one day I hope to be on the receiving end of that whenever something happens to me.
You don't be on the receiving end of bacteria like that.
No.
Come on.
But you know what I mean.
Don't manifest that.
So it was a big moment, and thank God he didn't die. I mean, the past few years, I would have a moment about somebody dying. I had, you know, that's what it's been for the past couple of years for me. So I'm glad that didn't happen with him. That's my number 7.
My number 7 is giving the commencement at NC State's engineering graduation.
All right, you're gonna have to save that one.
Okay.
So that's your number 7.
Yeah.
All right, so am I going to my number 6
you
now?
go to your number
Yep, number 6 is next for me.
Yeah.
My number 6 is Scooter Club. Now, I've talked about this in a number of different ways, but I don't usually always just call it Scooter Club, but I am a member of a club, a social club called the Scooter Club. And I also call this...
Now, why?
I'll tell you. I also call this my dad friends.
Okay.
Or parents of Lando's friends. We all met when Lando was on a flag football team 2 years ago. And then the parents, we all would show up and we all kind of hit it off and we started hanging out. But then the next level was the dads, just the guys started hanging out. And so occasionally we'll do that. Maybe it's like once every 2 months or so. And then we like planned a trip to Vegas. We went to Vegas earlier this year. So all of a sudden, what was like this social group that I was like folded into this a bona fide. Well, it's not a bona fide. It's still an unofficial but almost official club. During the pandemic, there were like up above us in a different part of the neighborhood. They would all get together and hang out in their front yard, socially distanced, like and they built a friendship and maintained some sanity through the pandemic. And the kids would like be scootering around in the neighborhood while they would be like sitting in the front yard, socially distanced, having a beer.
So the kids were on the scooters.
So the dads called
helpful.
themselves the Scooter Club for their kids to be on the scooters. And so there was a point where I was officially invited to be a part of the club, along with a couple of other guys.
Have you made your hats yet?
And then we had like somebody bought patches that say Scooter Club, and I'm putting them on hats, and it's not completed.
Now, if you go back to Vegas, are you going to do the thing where you all wear the same hat so you can find each other, and they're all hot pink?
Yeah. No, they're going to be black.
Like a youth group?
It's more like a biker club, but it says Scooter Club on it. So, I mean, at this stage of life, it's nice to find a whole other group of friends, you know? I like to be social, and I don't want to wear out my welcome with you or with, I've got really good friends. You're one of them. Mike's one of them. Our college buddies are long distance, some of them.
They didn't make the list, though.
They didn't make the list, and these guys did. Sorry, and now I have a group of dad friends. We're hanging out. We're doing something Saturday night. So it's just nice to have another social outlet where we're just like, we're all on the same page. Just chill out, hang out. All we need is a good fire pit. It's nice. And this is the year that like solidified. Now it might all, as we know with friend groups, it might fall apart at any moment. We know that.
And also your Scooter Club connection ended up.
That was the pie eating in contest too, was that group.
Well, yeah, but that ended up getting us into
Trouble?
Halloween Horror Nights.
That's right. That's right. I had a connect there.
Mm-hmm.
For the
One
Halloween
of your
Horror
Scooter
Nights.
boys is like.
Yeah, see, so you're benefiting from
He's
this.
like the man over there.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'll benefit from your Scooter Club a lot, just as long as I don't have to be in it. As long as I can benefit from it.
Yeah, it's going to be totally separate.
Yeah.
You're never going to meet these guys.
Right. Well, I've met that one.
Yeah, you met him, but it was in a work context.
My number 6.
They've actually asked not to meet you.
Yeah, well, that's good. I made it very clear.
They also don't listen to this podcast or watch any of our videos.
Yeah, I prefer that for your fans and for my
Me
friends.
too. Me too.
So we can talk shit about them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. My number 6 was the release of my James and the Shame EP.
I thought this would be higher. Okay,
Well,
it's the second one.
I think, I think it's where it is. I'm sure, I don't remember because I don't remember much, but I'm sure that last year my first album was higher on the list.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I was just, we do our AMA on the Mythical Society, and I was just talking about this on the AMA. One of the things that I've been trying to figure out as well about, the James and the Shame stuff is like, the whole point of it is for it to be, it's a hobby. It's a hobby. It's like it's a release, right? It's a get to, not a got to. So many of the things that we do, I mean, first of all, our whole job is a get to, not a got to, but as anyone who has a job that they really enjoy will tell you, lots of the get-tos become got-tos as soon as you need to make money off of it. Or it needs
a lot of get-tos become got-tos when you got to go through.
Right, and when you've got a team and a business and all this stuff. And so while even something like this podcast, which is like, this is not work, let's be honest. It's not work, right? But when you take a step back and you think about—
it's not as easy as it looks.
You think about the product that is Ear Biscuits, and you think about all the meetings we have, Jamie, about what we're doing here and how to make it better. And there's a work element to all the things that we do. And the other thing is every single thing that we do, that's a part of Mythical, we have to talk about. We have to tell people to watch it, right? It's the marketing side of things. Like, we gotta, in fact, we've already skipped over where we were supposed to do the ad in the middle of this episode.
Let's do
just
it right
as
now.
An example.
This is a good point to do it. Like literally right.
Let's do it right now. See, just as an example, like we want you to know that you can get 20% off all gifted plans to the Mythical Society. So when you give a plan to someone, probably including yourself if you want to cheat the system, between the 19th and the 26th of December, you get 20% off. More information at mythicalsociety.com. Do you see?
So now, like that AMA we was talking about.
I am happy.
You can
I am happy to do that, right? But if we get excited about something, then we also have to find a way to get someone else excited about it, right? We're constantly like, every time we get a new piece of merch.
I get it.
We're taking a picture, right?
But I don't, so is there a contrast coming?
Yes. I desperately do not want what I'm doing with my music to become that. Do you understand? I don't want it to just be another thing that I'm trying to get someone to care about. Yeah. But there's an element of it like, okay, I'm gonna do the photo shoot and I'm gonna release this merch and I'm gonna go and record myself playing these songs.
Right.
But the part that I enjoy about what I do in my music is the music. I enjoy writing songs and I enjoy recording songs. And if you're gonna record them, well, you should release them. and I do enjoy people who enjoy the music connecting with the music, right? But the moment that I start thinking about it in a way where I'm like, this has to work, or this has to make money, or this has to become this thing that I promote and takes up space in my mind.
Yeah.
It's just not fun anymore. Like I want it to be fun, you know?
So are you saying that's why it was number 7 on your list?
No, it's number 6. Well,
Number 6.
It's number 6 because yes, it obviously like the first album.
Okay, yeah.
And the meaningful sort of theme of that album being around deconstruction. And it was like, it was the first. And this was like the follow-up. But I do think that it was the year in which because there's more going on at Mythical that I'm creatively excited about than was going on last year, than I was creatively excited about. We'll talk about that at a later number. I think that it was kind of like, all right, I don't have a lot of space in my brain for this, other than it being the thing that like, I go home at night and sometimes I'm like, I don't want to watch TV. I want to get my guitar and I want to start playing. And then the next thing you know, I'm writing a song, and that's a fun activity for me. I'm never going to stop doing that. But if I'm like, I've got to set aside time to do this thing that's work, then it's no longer fun. Do you know the band Fun, which I'm a fan of? They called it Fun because they were like, we're going to do this because we think it's fun, and we're going to do it until it's no longer fun. And that's why there's only like 2 albums, or maybe 2 albums. They broke up because they were like, it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
Because that one album was so big.
It can happen.
And they were like, oh, this is too big. Everyone's coming to our shows. And it's not fun anymore because now it's become this thing that we have to maintain. And so I think that it's been good. It's on the list because it's been really significant, and I love it. But it's lower on the list because the level of enjoyment in the second round was like, every time I do it, I'm learning a little bit more about what I don't want, the parts that I don't want to do. And I think the part that I don't want to do is to promote it at all. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, so maybe I'll do another album at some point, but maybe
you'll never hear about it.
Maybe you won't even know about it.
Or maybe you'll find another compromise that won't send you that far.
I'm sure I'll do more music. I'm not done with music. I've already written another 7, 8 songs, but
really,
I'm just saying, just because I'm constantly writing, but I'm not gonna be like, all right, I gotta go set aside a weekend and make a music video, etc.
My number 5 is this is 2 moments at different points in the year that, when combined, make a milestone of this year as the year that I decided I am not going off of my anxiety medication.
Okay.
This is the year that I've made that decision. And it took me going off my anxiety medication twice. Yeah, I went off, and I think I talked about it on this show, didn't I? Did I?
Yes.
Back in like April.
Earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And I would cringe so much if I watched it back, because I'm probably gonna say the same thing now that I said then, which was, you know what? I just felt like I was in a good place, and I had a number of things in place, ongoing therapy. It's been a great year for therapy for me. Wrapping up my second year with my therapist, like, that's going great. So I talked about making being lulled in this position of thinking that, like, oh, I have enough of a support, and I don't need this. I don't need the medication. And I went off, and then I decided to go back on.
And do you?
And I talked about it after I decided to go back on. And now, it was just this past month that I decided, when I got back home from, like, Chrissy's dad being in the hospital, I'd forgotten to take the medication with me when I went.
Oh, and then you were like, well, maybe
when I got back, I was like, you know what? I've been off of it, which, first of all, don't go off of medication cold turkey. Don't. And if you find yourself that you skipped, and that doesn't make it a convenient time to just not take whatever medication you're on. Mm-hmm. That was not smart for me. But I was like, I want to go off, and I have my reasons, and I'm not sharing them because they're not good reasons. But I was like, I made it more, it seemed more eloquent to me than like, oh, I don't need the medication anymore, because I know that that's what people say, and that means that the medication's working. And that's what I said back in April or May. And here I am, I was like, I mean, it's, I just feel like I'm eating a little bit of crow here, but I think I just want to, it's something that I've really decided. It took me forgetting and having to go through it a second time to realize
How
that,
long
like,
did you go off it the second time, and what made you change your mind?
it was, the second time it was like, it might've been 5 weeks. Might've been 6 weeks. And I just, and did it coincide with some of what I was saying about like the tattoo stuff and the comments and things getting in my head? Yes. Like the level of rumination and like downward spiral of like, I just found that there were things that and there were other things too, like challenges that we were facing here at work that like, I remember at a certain point when I would get up and walk the dogs that I would look up and I would see the trees, and I had space in my life to enjoy the trees. And then I observed that when I would walk my dogs, I was looking down. And because my eyes were just making sure I wasn't gonna trip, because I was in my brain. I was just inside of my head obsessing about the challenges that we were facing or something that I was concerned or upset about. And that's rumination. It's a downward spiral. It just keeps going. And I would say to myself, you know what? You're not getting anywhere. Stop. Just don't think about it right now. Compartmentalize, something that I've been really good at in the past. And I could not do it. I could not do it. I was like, oh, 2 beats later, thinking about it again, intensely. No, just put it aside. It's, I got it. It's like, so I observed that. I observed like just a level of reactivity, irritability. Some of it is coming off, maybe some of it's coming off the medication, but then but for me, it was also like just quality of life. Quality of life, quality of relationships. And so just kind of saying, all right, I'm not gonna fall for my own tricks.
So at this point, because I mean, like, I know every time you talk to my wife about this, she tells you the same thing, right?
Yeah.
She's like, I did it years ago, right? She's like, you got it. You're gonna come off of it a couple of times, and then I'm not saying people who want to come off of the medication for whatever reason and are successful in doing it, great. People who want to stay on it, great. We're not telling you one's right and one's wrong. But at this point, is it the kind of thing that like you've discussed with Christy? So it's like, hey, don't let me do that again, because it just seems like it happens to everyone I know.
Right. Yeah, we've heard the story a lot.
Like you have to have
and it
somebody.
Didn't impact me. I thought I was the exception.
You have to be having somebody in your life who's like, okay, remember what you said to yourself. So that's Christy at this point. So it doesn't have to be me, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
Unless you want it to be me.
It doesn't have to be you. It can also be you.
Okay.
But
because you didn't ask me either time, you just did it. And I'm not saying
I didn't ask Christy either.
You're not obligated to ask me, but I'm saying if you want me to hold you accountable and you're inviting me to do that, I volunteer as tribute. I will do it. But if you and Christy got it handled, then I'll back off.
I will say that I didn't tell Christy about my decision. She was still back in North Carolina tending to her dad, and I was back at home making this decision and then not wanting to have that conversation. Because I knew how that would go.
You were hoping that you would be cool like a month later and be like, you know what, I've been on vacation.
Exactly.
And I'm cool now.
But I did talk to my therapist. No. And I was embarrassed to say it to my therapist.
You didn't? I
didn't even talk.
Yeah,
so all these
forget about that.
All these are
always consult with your therapist.
All these are huge red flags.
Yeah.
If you're not telling the people that love you the most the decision that you've made, red flag. If you're not telling your therapist who you talk to every week, red flag.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And I see this much more clearly now. And I think I'm starting to get back to the better place I was, but I'm not completely there yet. But I can tell that I'm experiencing the benefits again. I'm getting there.
Well, I'm happy for you.
So yeah, I do invite you to be a part of this conversation. As a listener to you, I do not invite you to
too late.
conjecture on
Too late, bro.
is he off his meds again or starting to map things that I've done in the past.
Hey, it's how some people entertain themselves. Just let it happen. Let it. That's fine.
Yeah, I guess I won't be reading those comments anyway.
My number 5 is, so we want to talk about trips, a trip, another trip. The spring break trip that I took with my family, my immediate family, my boys and my wife, where Shep and I went scuba diving in the shipwrecks. And
right.
Obviously the diving in the shipwreck it stands out as the most sensational.
That's what you remember?
Novel experience. However, I actually think the most significant moment was, we had been down there for a few days, just me and Jesse and Shep, and then Locke was gonna fly down and join us. It was Shep's spring break, not Locke's spring break, but Locke was gonna join us on that Thursday, spend a few days with us. And that first night of like having dinner together as a family and thinking like, it was the first time, we had been to see Locke at college and he had been back home to see us, over Christmas and Thanksgiving, whatever. But it was that, okay, I'm with my children on a vacation. And one of them is an adult who's living his own life, who is now joining us for this vacation. And I'm like, this is kind of the way that it's going to be.
Yeah.
And it kind of registered, right? Like, yeah, we're going to see each other holidays, whatever. So, it was a good vacation. We had a great time. Locke and Shepard did get into that fight that I told you about on the podcast, but I think it was formative for both of them.
Okay. You shouldn't have, if you would not have mentioned it, you would have increased the chances of not remembering that part of it.
Well, actually, and by accessing it and re-remembering it, I actually shaped the memory itself.
I know you did.
But yeah, I think it was significant in that a milestone moment of, that represents just a new stage in life of having one kid that is off doing his own thing, living his own life.
The default is that they're gone, so when they come back, it's a return. It feels different.
Well, and them not coming back to our space, like for the holidays, feels different. Them coming home, but like, no, we're gonna meet in this place that is equally foreign to both of us, and we're together, like we're on vacation together. I haven't really processed it much, but it stands out as like this moment of like, oh, there he is. He's this kid that grew up in my house, and we're having dinner, and how many more times, and I'm gonna see him quite a bit, but like I'm gonna see him a lot less than I was seeing him. Like you start thinking things like that.
Yeah. Let's see, we're to my number 4. We are at my number 4. I have given this the special spot for my solo camping trip.
Okay.
I just had like the best time.
I'm glad for you.
So much. I had such a better time than you did.
Yeah, you did.
On your solo trip.
Even though we did meet.
My relationship with Jasper the dog is forever changed in a positive way. And
is he your favorite now?
No.
Okay. He's not gonna get a tattoo?
I don't know, maybe someday. I don't know.
After he dies.
No, I don't know. But now when I look back at it, I do have this longing to like spend this time alone and knowing I can do it. It's the most time I'd ever spent alone. So it was quite a milestone. And it was extremely rewarding and rejuvenating, and I just crave it. I now have a craving
Had
for
you
it.
not done a solo trip before that?
Yeah,
I thought you had.
Yeah, but when I went to Slab City, I was interacting with people all the time.
Oh, you mean
so
just
yeah,
like being a completely
like
on your own.
to be isolated. Like, yeah, my previous trip wasn't like that. So that's it for me.
My number 4 is a 2-for-1. I have been able to, you want me to scare you, Jamie?
Yeah, just real quick. I'll just stop paying attention, then repay attention.
Jamie hiccuped. I was gonna scare her. This is actually kind of phenomenal that I thought about it. I was able to go to 2 NC State sporting events with my father this year. The Carolina State basketball game and the Carolina State football game, and we beat their asses both times.
Okay.
And like, it doesn't happen hardly ever in basketball, right?
No. Mm-mm.
I
I should never go again, by the way.
I know, I feel like I just ruined it, right? But this past, it was, just this past Thanksgiving, very recent. I had this idea, knowing that we were gonna be back in North Carolina for Thanksgiving. I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna buy as many tickets as you can buy at once to this NC State Carolina game. Because every year, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, for the past, I don't know how many years, State and Carolina have played that. Every year, they play each other that last game.
Okay.
And it alternates whether it's at Keenan or Carter Finley. And it's gonna be at Carter Finley. I don't think I would want to go to the Keenan game. But it's gonna be at the Wolfpack House. And I bought these tickets before the season started when I had reason to believe that we might lose, But I was like, it'll be great to like take Locke and Shepard and my dad and Cole, my brother Cole, to the game. And then, I'll have like 3 other tickets for like what other family members want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to the game, and I think it had to be the first football game I've been to since we were like right after college, I think. I think I went maybe to a couple of I went to a couple of football games in the years that we lived in North Carolina between so that decade, a couple, but it wasn't a regular thing. But I mean, I've made it clear that I don't care about a lot of sports in general, but I've always just had this affinity for NC State sports, which makes me a man of great character.
How intense was the experience with them winning like that?
NC State fans are crazy, man. I love it. We're bonkers. Like we just hate for no rational reason. We just hate. We hate them. We hate Carolina. And I just love it. I just love it. I think most of us know that it's all kind of pointless, but it's just, there's something about it. And if you're like a huge fan of some, soccer team, right? There's a bunch of Americans who are just big fans of, football, overseas football.
Apparently,
and they're just crazy about it, right? And the rivalries. So that's the closest that I understand. And
you were a part of something and you brought your family.
And also it was a night game, it was cold, it was 37 degrees. That's cold. 37 degrees is cold once you've adjusted to California weather, right?
Yeah.
And also, the stadium is so much cooler than it was when we went there. Like when we went there was like some grass above the end zone where some people sat. Like it's a full bowl in. They've got this giant screen. There's all these LED lights that immediately change the colors. Fireworks go off after every touchdown. There's jets that fly over before the game starts.
Is there nudity?
No nudity, unfortunately. Maybe next year. But 56,000 people, not an empty seat in the place. It was just so packed. And then we just beat the hell out of them. We went up 20-0. And I was kind of hoping for a game, but it's also just great to watch them lose like that.
Okay.
And I was like next to my dad, which my dad's so funny because he's a huge sports fan, but he is a huge Georgia football fan. And Georgia was playing Georgia Tech. And as I was telling my dad, I was like, Georgia's not going to have any trouble with Georgia Tech. Georgia's the best team in the nation. They're not going to lose at Georgia Tech. But my dad has a buddy. You remember Dan Teat. Remember Dan Teat? Huge Georgia fan. So they text constantly when they watch Georgia football together. Sometimes I think they may be on like a phone call. I don't know. They are in it to win
I
it.
remember you told me about it.
And so my dad is like texting, Dan Teat is texting my dad. As my dad is sitting there at the NC State game, my dad's like looking at his phone. Not that he wasn't present, he was watching the state game, but he's got to know that Georgia's got this thing under control.
Yeah.
And then of course my brother went to Carolina. He's and he was not like an obnoxious Carolina fan, which is an oxymoron. I mean, he is one of the exceptions. But he's not one of these guys that just thinks that he doesn't think that he's better than everyone because he went to Carolina. Like my wife does, for instance.
Okay.
I'm just kidding, Jesse. I love you. She doesn't really care about the rivalry. But he was like, I don't know if I'm gonna wear. He was questioning whether he's gonna wear his stuff because he's not like crazy about it. I was like, no, wear it. And I wasn't like, wear it so that we can make fun of you. I was like, wear it because you went to Carolina. You should be proud of it. I'm happy to bring you along. But he told me, he was like, the stuff that was said to me. he was like,
wow.
As I like went to the bathroom, he was just like, the stuff people say to you, they just like say anything to you. And it's like, there's Carolina people all over the stadium.
Do you have a quote for us?
No, and I don't remember exactly what I don't remember. I can't remember what he said.
Probably more cheap shots.
But it's just cheap shots. Just people just say something to you just in passing. Just like he was sitting on the edge next to the aisle and he just said everybody going by would just say something.
Don't buy one of our wieners.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That kind of a thing.
So anyway, that was a great, it was a great experience.
You got 2 NC State on your moments list.
It's kind of like, I don't know, man. It can't get any better. I just don't think it can get any better. It doesn't get any better than beating Carolina and being there in those atmospheres.
Maybe if you sang the national anthem.
Yeah.
Before him.
Well, Scotty McCreery was the one that got up there at the beginning and got in the end zone and fired everybody up and said, Wolf, Pack. And I was like, when do I get to do that? Yeah. I mean, okay, Scotty McCreery, American Idol, I get it. Great guy,
Has he given a commencement address?
I don't know, but I'm like, here I am. I'm ready to go, man.
No.
Put me on the field.
My number 3, just to stay on theme, is the NCSU commencement address.
Yep.
So did we tell you to hold off on yours?
Yeah, it was number 7 for me, so you go
Well,
first.
we did them separately.
Right. Yeah,
Yours was number 7, and mine, it was number 3 on my list. It means more to me than it means to you.
Okay.
I don't know why. I think that it means number 3 to me because it's like, when I was talking about the Streamy solo thing, I had the added confidence that I needed when you left me in the lurch at the Streamies because of the experience I had given the commencement address. I mean, and I just feel like, do I have notes? And yes, did we fully analyze it on the show? Yes, but before I get into like my thoughts about it again, just the fact that we had the opportunity to do it is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. It was just such an honor and an awesome opportunity to do it. And so we had to say yes. But then it's like you approach it with some trepidation. It's like, well, am I gonna be able to bring my complete self to this thing? And I think that's where, that was the experience for me, was that like something that was such a high honor and such a milestone that few people get to experience. I was my true self there, and that made it a little strange, and I like that. And that it gave me confidence. It did the opposite of what I was talking about earlier, of that, like, okay, this is me, and I'm going for it. I'm going for me. I'm totally going for it. The link of it all. And I'm glad. I'm glad that I did that. And I'm glad that I had the opportunity to do it. And I think it had a lasting impact.
Yeah, it was meaningful for me as well. I think that it can be difficult to kind of understand what it is that we've done with our lives, I guess is how I would say it, right? Like,
Right.
because, I mean, I would say we've been doing it for so long, and at this point, we've gotten feedback from individual people who say that the things that we've done, some things that we've done have been very meaningful for them and have been, helped them through difficult times or whatever. And I've heard that enough to now, like, not have like embarrassment and shame about people actually finding what we do meaningful, which is not an easy thing for me to do. Right, that's I don't know what it is. I grew up in a family where it was like, it was all about performance, but it was always like, there's a act like you've been there before kind of vibe in the McLaughlin family, right? Like you score a basket, you score a touchdown, you don't act like an idiot, you walk in the locker room. Of course you were gonna do that, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that there is this there is a reluctance to accept the somebody saying this was meaningful to me or what you do is meaningful. Because I always just want to be like, yeah, but not really. Wait until the next thing I do. That'll be meaningful, right? That's just my disposition. Mm-hmm. To just not accept the praise or whatever. And so I think that there's something interesting about when you're asked to give a commencement speech at an engineering school, it feels very serious. And it almost feels like, we don't deserve, we went here, we got our engineering degrees, but we don't use them. You know what I'm saying? So I think that when people, especially, people came up after and were very, they said a lot of really nice things about taking the time to do this, or your speech meant this to me or whatever. And that, it was meaningful for me. But I think I have a difficult time accepting that sometimes. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I do. I also think that I just think that we interact with things a little bit differently. I think there was a big question in my own mind of if I could do it. And not that I could pull it off in a certain way.
And I think for me, it's should I do it?
Yeah, we had different questions on our mind.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I understand that. That puts you at what?
Number 3. Number 3 for me was getting Scuba certified with Shepherd, mm-hmm. And probably the moment that is most meaningful from that is, when we went to the second part of the certification, when you go to Catalina Island and you actually get in the water.
Yeah.
And, it's like Shepard's he's a teenager. He's a teenager, and he's a 15-year-old kid, and he's a cool 15-year-old kid. And, he doesn't he likes a lot of things, but he's not gonna let all the things that excite him that he's into, right? He's not gonna be super enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
But he was very enthusiastic about diving, and just loved it. I mean, almost was he was using all his air because he was so excited when he was in the water. And I was like, why is he using all his air? And how our teacher was like, well, he's moving around a lot and looking at everything and breathing a lot. He's using a lot of air because he's excited. And then that translated into us being able to go scuba diving, on our vacation, and then with you and Lincoln, or you and Chase. Lincoln couldn't go that time.
Right.
I just confused Chase with Lincoln.
Me too.
Yeah, you didn't correct me. But also, this is a little bit of a 2-for-1 because that turned into Shepard's experience of going to dive camp.
Right.
That was a pretty pivotal experience for him in getting down to a place where it was super humid and hot and mosquitoes, and it was a difficult experience, and it was the classic I'm at summer camp and this is difficult. And this was an experience that I've really wanted for him for a really long time, to like go have a difficult time and get through, and then on the other end be like, I wouldn't trade it for the world. And that's essentially what happened to him. And so, I'm grateful for it. We need to go again. It's too cold now, though.
Need to go again. That was very dad of you.
Yeah.
That was a very dad one.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's good. My number 2 is going to pull me into daddom. This was the year that Lincoln went off to college. So the moment for me is Lincoln. We went on a beach trip right before he left for college, and it's like between that and then like a week later moving him in, like that's like such a huge moment. But like everything that we were doing, like what we would do for spring break or different things over the summer, it's, there was this awareness that, hey, this is your last hurrah with us in this way. We know with the experience with Lily that like, and what you're talking about with Locke, that things change a little bit. There's like, you're about to cross a threshold, and it was special to like have this year with him and to send him off in that way. And I think about the moment of like, we're all walking on the beach and like we're talking about his expectations and, having already sent Lily off to college and knowing that, like having that realization that, that the relationship changes, but it can still be very robust and it can grow and it can develop in new ways. So bringing that confidence to the interactions that I was having with Lincoln and sending him off, and it was less sad and it was more celebratory the second time around. And very special. And then I think the fact that, that he's thriving, and when we've gone to visit him and when he's come back home, it's like it's my version of what you were saying with like seeing Shepard like really connect with something and to get excited and to take on a challenge separate from you, like when he went to camp, and then seeing that Lincoln's taking on these challenges and thriving and becoming more of his own person. Is that this is the year for that, and arguably should be my number 1 in a lot of ways, and in many ways is. But yeah, that's it.
That's your number
so
one.
Technically my number 2.
Okay, my number 2 is a very specific moment, and that was my Forest Queen and Little Twig Boy moment that I had with Jesse that I have that talked about on this podcast, which, as I also covered, was a moment that was not far enough removed from the moment where I heard you and your wife having sex. So that's unfortunate.
Not for me, it
my
wasn't.
second best moment of the year is very, very like so close to the time when I heard you having sex with your wife.
It's like it's still echoing in your moment. My moment, or I'll say our moment, was echoing in your moment.
But the reason that this is so high on my list, not only was that a great trip to Big Sur, wore the T-shirt.
What's a T-shirt?
I am really enjoying my wife these days.
Good.
And I believe that my wife is really enjoying me. And
relationally.
yes, sexually as well, but that's not what I was saying. Is that what I was trying to say?
Yeah, you're saying relationally.
I'm talking about relationally. I'm talking about the time that we spend with each other, right? Like being each other's no offense, favorite people. You know, like, and it's something that we're kind of like realizing as we get older. Not saying that we want Shepard to leave the house, but I'm just saying that as the years draw short of us being empty nesters, we are very excited about it. We like spending time together, and so I felt like that was, and again, that was a weird moment in which we were role playing as these characters that we invented on the spot, the Forest Queen and the little Twig boy, which I still regret that we did not go through with becoming these characters for Halloween. We talked about it, we had a little bit of a plan. Something happened around Halloween that was a distraction that I can't remember what it was, and we didn't end up doing it. That moment of connection, of like silly connection, was emblematic of this, something that is happening more often, which is us really enjoying our time together in a way that's like getting better, which I'm just very grateful. And I'm not saying it's something I've done right or she's done right. I mostly am just like, oh wow, we're lucky. Mm-hmm. We're lucky that we like to spend time together, and we're liking spending time together more as we get older. So yeah, I don't know if there'll be more role playing, and I don't know if the Twig boy was a one-time thing. But it was a special moment in a special year where we found ourselves saying that more and more often.
I love that for y'all. You're each other's biggest fans.
Yes.
Isn't that?
We are.
It could be dangerous. You egging each other on.
What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know. This brings me to my number one.
Well,
and your number one.
My number one.
Okay, so I think we have the same number one.
I was hoping, I'll be honest with you, I was gonna be mad at you if this wasn't your number one. Because I was gonna feel betrayed.
Oh, good.
You'll notice that I put my wife as number two. Just so we're clear.
Yeah.
Me connecting with my wife was the second best moment of the year.
Yeah. I said that the Lincoln thing should have been my number one, but it wasn't.
Okay.
This was the year that we relaunched programming, content, videos on the Rhett Link channel.
Oh, that's not my number one. I'm just kidding. Yeah. It is. That's my number one.
I am so excited about next year because of what we've done this year, because of the process that we undertook and the creative processing and development. I believe that we will look back on this year as the year we restarted something. We started something new on an OG channel, with something completely new that then became a defining part of our careers.
Hell yeah.
How would you put it?
The thing that is so exciting to me about what we're doing and what we are going to do is that this is the first time in many, many years in which the thing that I am most excited about creatively is not something that might happen if someone lets us do it.
Right.
It's a thing that has happened, is happening, and will happen if, there's not an accident. Meaning, these ideas that we have in this process that we are currently undertaking, all the pieces of the process that will result in a actual piece of content that someone can enjoy. Like, we are in control of as much of it as you can be in control of. And that is, I don't know, I actually think that is when, I alluded to this earlier when I was like, in relation to the stuff, my music stuff, it's just like, I had more time last year. I mean, we never have much time, but like in terms of just like creative space, we were doing what we've always done for the past few years, and we were like trying things and having conversations with people, et cetera, et cetera. And then this year shifted to like, no, like when I sit down and I start thinking about things that excite me creatively, I'm trying to find a way to put it into a video that will work on the Rhett Link channel. And so it's just changed the amount of creative space that I have to do anything else other than that.
I would also summarize it as being just getting in touch with our inner artists.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in a way that I don't think we ever have before. Like we're at a certain point in terms of age and just like personally as people that we're interested in expressing ourselves and creating things and experimenting, being curious about moving people in different ways. I mean, still by and large, mostly within the realm of comedy, making people laugh, but moving people in all types of ways, emotionally, mentally. And it's just very creatively engaging. It's getting back to our roots of just making stuff together, but we now have the creative freedom that we always wanted. And we are, for the first time, realizing that we have it and taking full advantage of it.
I mean, I wrote in my journal many years ago, you know, I would write all these really aspirational things that I thought we should do. And one of the sort of like long-term goals that I had like 20 years ago was, and what I thought this would be is I thought it would be a movie, right?
Right.
Is I was like, I would like, if we could get to a place where we could make movies that are every movie is an amalgamation of all the things that we do. And not, and this is before we even knew what we did, but like a little bit of documentary, some music, some sketches, and but thinking that it would be some like genre of film that we would do at some point, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing on the Rhett Link channel now, right? It's like you have an idea, you have you have something that you want to do, you have a scene for something that you want to do, and there's a way to put it into this bucket that can take anything that we can do. You want to sing a song? You want to do a sketch? You want to do something for real? You want to have it transition to something else? And I'll just say, first of all, I couldn't be more excited. Second of all, we have just scratched the surface. Like 2023 was scratching the surface, like figuring it out a little bit. 2024 is leaning in even more.
And I will say there's aspects of it that have not been easy, that have been difficult.
Yeah, we're still learning. We got a lot to learn still.
And I think it's directly tied to our personhood. That's what's so powerful about it, is that it's not a professional development. It's an extension of personal development and opportunity.
Yeah.
And so, I'm so excited.
And I don't think, well, we didn't discuss this. You tell me if you think we shouldn't. I would like to hint at least at how we're going to approach 2024.
Go for it.
Because you're a special group of people who listen to Ear Biscuits. So the way 2023 has worked has been, you know, we've got a very small team, very small but very talented team that helps us make these videos. And, you know, we've been all working on, this is like the primary thing that this team has been working on this year. And you can see, I don't know, how many videos did we make, Jenna? 6? Like what, 7? I don't know. 8? Okay. Mm-hmm. So, like 8 videos in a year, it's not a whole lot. We do 8 videos in 8 days when it comes to GMM, right? These are it's a different thing, it's a different experience. And we've also been working on them constantly, and then when they're done, we set a launch date, and it's kind of hard to predict. It's basically like normal YouTubers. It's like, when it's up, it's up. But because we have so many things going on all the time, and there's all this content that's coming out, we've decided that for 2024, we want to treat the Rhett Link content a little bit different. First of all, we're gonna come up with a name of what we call whatever it is that we're doing over there. It's not just gonna be like Rhett Link content, because that's what we keep calling it, and we realize that we need to call it something so that people can be like, oh, they do this thing as well. It's gonna be what you've been seeing.
Now that we know what it is as a series, now that we know, then it should be called, it should have a name.
We haven't named it yet. There's lots of names that no one has shared with each other yet.
Right.
You have a list, I have a list.
Right.
I know TJ has a list. There's lots of names. We'll figure it out. The second part of that is that, we're so proud of what this team has created and what this team is capable of creating, that we want to give this series its best chance at kind of breaking through the noise and being seen. Like, it's not, our goal isn't to have this thing get millions and millions of views. Our goal is just to make the best show that we can make, and whoever watches it. But we feel like we want to make it special, and so we're actually going to be working on it throughout the first part of the year, and then at some point, which we'll obviously announce, we're going to release it as a season it's a series that'll come out weekly over a period of weeks. So there'll be a moment in which it's like, now the show is on, check it out. That's the tentative plan right now. So just to say,
and it will be on YouTube.
It will be on YouTube.
It will not be.
Yeah. It'll be on the same channel. It'll be on the Rhett Link channel. But what I'm saying is that we're so excited about it, and you might be like, oh, I can't wait to see what's going to happen in January. Well,
it ain't gonna be.
You're going to be waiting. You're going to be waiting because in January, in February, and beyond, we're going to be working on this show harder than we've worked on anything in a long time, and then releasing it together, and then doing it again. And again, and again, so that's the plan. So we appreciate your patience, and we want you to, we know that you guys are going to be supportive, but we want you to understand that we're seeing it like, for lack of a better word, a TV show, in the way that you would enjoy a TV show, which is like, oh, there's a season of it, and you enjoy it, and you talk about it, and then you wait for the next season, and that's how we want to do that show.
Yeah. Well, that concludes our top 10 moments of the year. Do you want to make a quick rec?
I do. It's a very selfish rec. It is that you go and watch some of the videos on the Rhett Link channel, because I'm so excited about it, and I know that most of you who are listening,
I want to take them down and then put them back up.
Maybe we'll do that. Have already watched what we've made over there, right? But I know that there's somebody who hasn't. You've been like, yeah, I'm not interested in that stuff. And I would just say, hey, go check it out.
Go check it out.
Like, if for no other reason than you see how excited we are about what we're doing, I guess go and watch the most recent one. We Got a Chicken Across the Busiest Road in America, because that's up. Or any of the other ones you want to watch.
All right, let us know what you think about anything that you heard today. You can call us 1-888-EARPOD1. And please, if you like what we're doing here, leave us a review on the platform that you listen on, because that is very helpful. And we'll speak at you. When's the next one? Was it in the next year?
Yeah, January 8th.
Oh my gosh.
January 8th.
January 8th.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Love you and Happy New Year.
Hi guys, it's Bailey from Ohio, and I just have to say, after listening to you both try to come up with a CH car name for your Maserati milk discussion, that you guys said everything but Challenger and Charger even after Rhett said something about Dodge a few minutes before, and I just can't get over it. That being said, I was also the Maserati of milk when I was a toddler, because once I drank a full cup of chocolate milk so fast that I threw up. So there you guys go. Love you. Bye.
To watch more Ear Biscuits, click on the playlist on the right.
To watch the previous episode of Ear Biscuits, click on the playlist to the left.
And don't forget to click on the circular icon to subscribe.
If you prefer to listen to this podcast, it's available on all your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks for being your mythical best.